Welcome to the Tradies in Business podcast with your hosts Warwick Bidwell and Nicole Cox. Divert your phone and grab a brew as Waz and Nic unpack tips, tales, secrets and stuff-ups from guests both inside and outside your trade, helping educate and inspire you to break the cycle of gut-busting and money stress and create a true trade business.
Good morning, Nicole Cox.
Good morning, Warwick Bidwell.
I am committing to using your proper name as opposed to that other name that I may or may not have used a few times in previous episodes, which appears to have been getting used on social media now as well.
Oh, my Lord. I can't believe this.
I
I've got to find some. Yeah, I can actually. I've got to find some stupid name to start calling you and it's going to stick. It'll be something you hate.
Stickman.
No.
Oh. Muscles? Russell.
No. No, I'll think of something that'll annoy you. I'm going to talk to your wife.
She loves me, so I doubt she's going to help you.
Oh.
You're going to have to bribe her pretty hard, I reckon.
You reckon?
Yeah.
I reckon she'll enjoy a laugh at your expense.
She might.
Just a little one. But that's not what we're talking about today. I want you to tell the people what you're off to do any minute now.
I'm going to cuddle some cows.
I love cows.
I love cows.
So you're going to buy some cows, right?
Tasty. Yes. Well, hopefully.
What sort of cows?
We have our eye on some belted Galloways.
Ooh, they're the ones with the big white thing around their belly.
The big midriff belt.
They're so cute.
Black cow with a white girdle.
I don't think I'd ever seen them until we landed. No, that was woolly cows.
Highlander cows. They're cool.
In New Zealand, we landed on our honeymoon, landed in Dunedin and went from the airport at Dunedin to, there's a castle there called Lanark Castle where we were staying for a couple of days. That's a whole nother story. That was more fun than I can fit into an episode. But on the way, my first thing I noticed was that they use trees as fences. They're probably really windbreaks more than anything.
Yes.
And their cows were woolly. They're like sheep cows. They're the cutest things in the world. I have never seen anything like them. Yeah, it was cold.
The same down
but
here.
They're beautiful. Do you have woolly cows there too?
The cows, even like the Galloways and the Angus and the Herefords. I mean, they're cold weather cows anyway. They're the Boss Taurus strain of cattle versus the Boss Indicus, which are your tropical cows like Brahmans.
I like a big Brahman.
Yeah, I bet you do. So the Boss Taurus are generally from Europe and the UK. And so they tend to be a bit stockier and woollier, a bit like me, really. Stocky and woolly.
So in your Tasmanian version, you're actually a banded cow.
Yes, I'm wearing a girdle. It's the ISO. I'm blaming ISO.
As are many.
Yeah.
Do they taste different? Like I obviously really enjoy beef, and we're going to let that one go. But I couldn't tell the difference between one cow and another, whereas I can taste the difference, or I feel like I can taste the difference between an organic chicken and a normal farm chicken, but I don't know about beef. Stop it.
I like how you just moved on. You flagged the fact that your brain was going somewhere else, and then
that's your smirky smile.
That's the trouble with doing this via video is you can see me smirking here.
I can.
I think it's better when we can't see each other. We don't put each other off as much.
No.
Apparently, they do taste very good, and
not necessarily different, but good.
Well, I was reading about them because I like to research things before I go buy anything, whether it's a tool or a piece of podcast equipment or a cow, they like, I don't know, they do scoring and competitions and stuff like that. And as a live animal, they didn't rank very well. I think they're, like second last or something in a lot of the competitions where they're judged. but then on the blind taste testing of the beef that comes from them, they actually were scoring in the top 2 or 3 all the time.
It's interesting.
So yeah, I'm thinking I don't really care if I have an ugly, weird, low-scoring cow in the paddock, so long as I have top-scoring beef on my plate on a Friday night when I have steak and red wine.
So true, isn't it?
Yeah. There's a good segue there. We could Chuck Norris the shit out of that.
Go on, do it.
Well, it's kind of like your videos on Facebook when you're doing your marketing. I don't care if you don't have the right lighting and you don't have a fancy $500 gimbal thing that keeps the bloody phone all steady. Because if you're posting the videos and getting engagement and customers are loving it and you're picking up business from it, isn't that what it's all about?
Of course it is.
I think a lot of people get hung up on this is a bit serious for a Saturday.
I know. What's happened here? Holy moly.
I think a lot of people get hung up on the cow in the paddock. It's like, it doesn't look like it's got a good body score, or its horns aren't symmetrical, or whatever the freaking hell they judge them on. I don't know what they judge cows on. And they forget about the fact that, you know what, no one really gives a shit about that when it's on your plate.
No. Good
It's
steak.
like,
What
how
kind
does
of
it
steak
taste?
do you like best?
Oh, you know what? I'd have to say I love a roast rump cap, but in the smoky kettle Weber.
I've never succeeded at top-notch roast beef in any form. I don't think it's my forte.
Gosh.
I do every other roast like there's no tomorrow, but a roast beef I've never really nailed.
You'll have to come to our house, which it's a long
I
way to
will.
come for a steak.
I'll come for a steak. I'll do pretty much anything for a steak.
Because if you fly, it's then 14 days in quarantine with me after you get here.
As long as we have steak for tea every night, that'll be fine.
Yeah. Well, that's what
This'll work.
Mrs. Waz and I had once we got here, because we'd sort of loaded up our fridges in the car with beef before we left Queensland, knowing that we were going into quarantine here, which meant you couldn't leave the house for groceries. So we dead set had rump steak every night for about 10 nights in a row. So I'm really impressed with my wife, because I think most of the ladies would probably find that pretty tough.
Pretty challenging. No salad.
Yeah, no fresh salad, no veggies. It was just steak and eggs. We mixed it up a bit. We'd have steak and eggs, or steak and cheese, or steak, eggs, and cheese. Sometimes we'd drag out a bit of bacon that we'd frozen and have steak. Oh my God,
I love bacon.
Bacon and cheese. I've come up with an acronym for my favourite meal, which is sex.
Of course you have. Oh yes, of course it is. What a surprise! Steak, eggs, and I don't know what's the X for.
Cheese and sauce. Anywho, so this is a Saturday, which means we're talking shit, listeners. G'day. In case you weren't sure, this is the Tradies in Business podcast.
Well, it's a bit different. It's the TradieRonaCast, which explains the rubbish we're rabbiting on about.
It's one of our daily TradieRonacasts, which are no longer daily anymore because we interrupted it with a Friday yesterday.
And we got one coming Tuesday week. We've got a good one coming.
Yeah.
Was meant to be this Tuesday, but we had a few technical difficulties.
Oh my gosh, I'm going to blame COVID.
Of course.
Not after yesterday's
then you
episode.
need to go back and listen to exactly.
Yeah.
No, but there was a purpose to talking about your cows, and we were going to get on to your chickens because you've bought chickens.
Yes, we managed to fight our way through the hordes of people lining up for egg-laying chickens and get ourselves some laying birds. $55 a chook, if you can believe it.
They're expensive eggs.
Holy crap. They're going to be tasty. I'm going to be catching them as they come out of their bums, like just so they don't hit the ground and break. No, that egg's like $4.
They're going to get that expensive if we're not careful. But you're doing... Go on.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm thinking I might start selling eggs out the front of my house.
There you are. You'll make your chicken money back in no time.
$15 a dozen. Limit of 2 per customer.
2 per customer, exactly. And no tomato paste for you.
No, but we are talking about interests.
Yes, doing something other than working, really, which is something I think we all used to do well
People,
but we're not so good at it
don't want
now.
to do anything other than working, do they, Nicole Cox?
No, they don't, Warwick Bidwell. They just want to sit at home and remember, oh my goodness, there is that paperwork. I should go and sort it out. I'm not going to be able to relax until I sort that paperwork out. Or maybe I should do some work on my marketing, Warwick Bidwell, and see whether I can push forward with a new campaign on Facebook. Or you know what? I was thinking about tweaking my sales process, Warwick Bidwell. Do you think maybe we should be working on that at Sunday afternoon at 4:30 when I should be out having a fire with my kids?
Did you say twerking your sales process?
Tweaking.
I want to see your sales process twerk.
No, it's not going to happen. No, nada, nope, never.
It's a really good point, though, Nicole. I don't know your middle name.
Wilhelmine. I used to be embarrassed to say that, but now I love it.
Willie. Oh, I could make that one stick too.
You could make that stick. I don't mind being called Willie.
Ah.
Gardener Willie.
So I'm going to move on from that. So the fancy term for that stuff is meaningful occupation, and it's funny actually. When I first met Wifey, and I found out she was an occupational therapist, I always had this idea, as I think a lot of people do, that occupational therapists were something to do with getting people back to work.
Yeah, it's like a rehab thing. Or in your head, it's a rehab thing.
Yeah. And it is a rehab thing, but it's about actually getting people back to meaningful occupation, with the meaningful being what's the stuff that brings us fulfillment, joy, purpose, all that sort of stuff. And 97.89% of the time, it's not work. It's fishing and hiking and hunting and horse riding and mountain biking and cups of coffee with your lady friends and watering the grass.
Well, the ladies might like the hunting and the fishing and the
I met
motorbiking.
I met one of our neighbours down here the other day. She stopped in and said g'day, and she's offered to take me hunting with her.
There you are.
Which was, I must say, we have all these social paradigms and stereotypes, and I've done target competitions with ladies, and some of them are very, very good actually. My wifey's kind of handy with a gun. She often chases me around with one. But are we allowed to talk about guns on the podcast, or is that banned as well? Of course we can. Everything's banned these days, isn't it? You're not allowed to sell animals on Facebook anymore. You can't sell your horse on Facebook. You get banned.
So where do you sell it now?
Gumtree.
What's the difference?
Exactly. Anyway, let's stay away from political comment this morning. So, yes, I thought Wifey was all about getting people back to work, which I thought was boring as batshit, to be honest. And then I figured what OT really was, and it's really interesting, that whole meaningful occupation thing, which is just about interests. It's about having interests that mean stuff to us.
Yeah.
We
used to call them hobbies.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But you would ask somebody, well, what hobbies do you have? And they'd say, I don't know.
Yeah, I just go to work.
I don't know. So instead, I think we've changed the language around that. It's become, well, what interests do you have?
Mm-hmm.
Because it's much easier to find an interest than it is to find a hobby. Well, I'm very interested in the garden, or I'm very interested in the birds in the garden, or I'm very interested in watching my grass grow.
Or cutting someone else's. So I think maybe that whole hobby term implied a low-level obsession, and perhaps a little bit of there's a word I'm looking for, which is why I'm making that horrible noise, like Bob Hawke.
It's a thing to. Oh God. I think it's a thing to do. Like it implies that you need to be a part of something, a part of a club, or a part of an organization, or a part of a thing, but. An interest doesn't mean that you have to be doing anything other than something that serves you. You might be reading a book, standing in the garden, watering the grass, looking at the flowers, chasing the bees.
Cuddling my chickens.
Cuddling your chickens. I love chicken cuddles.
My daughter is a chicken cuddling ninja.
She is the Chuck Norris of chicken cuddles.
She has this uncanny ability. I don't know what it is, whether it's because she's smaller and so the chooks don't find her threatening or something, but she just walks up to them, picks them up, and they'll just sit there for a cuddle. They just sit on her lap.
Cute. That's very cute. I have a chicken ninja in my family too. It's Otis, the big golden retriever dog, who has the uncanny ability to lick eggs out of chickens' bums. That's what he thinks he's doing.
Is he like a truffle dog, but the wrong kind of truffles?
Yes, he's a chicken egg truffler.
Oh my gosh! So
Maybe Grace and Otis would make the perfect pair.
Yeah, Grace could cuddle them, and Otis could collect the eggs. I bet he doesn't spit them out though.
Nah, they get chomped real quick. We thought we had a snake in the hen house when we were in the previous house. We thought we had a snake in the hen house, but no, it was Otis eating the eggs.
Mongrel bugger. Anyway, you had a really good conversation with one of our tradie wives yesterday about interests and the somewhat worrying observation of ours that a lot of our tradie community, I think especially I can't say especially the wives. I think it's probably evenly spread, to be honest.
I think it's even.
For our tradies and tradie wives or tradies and tradie husbands, that they've dropped their interests either because the government says we're not allowed to do them, like you can't ride your dirt bike, you can't ride your jet ski, you can't go hunting, you can't go fishing, you can't go bushwalking, you can't go camping, you can't go sunbathing. This is getting depressing.
Yeah, stop.
Or because we're just super busy with all the change, so we've stopped crocheting or cutting our grass or whatever it is. And either way, it is not a good thing. And most of my interests are not permitted anymore.
But you're changing that up, right? You're doing some different things.
So I went through a short phase of depression and then anger and then acceptance around the fact that I can't do those things for the foreseeable future. And so in the meantime, because we live on acreage, and that was part of our plan of moving all the way down here to the bottom end of Australia, was to get some acres. I'm going to go get some damn cows, and the chooks. I used to love my chooks, and I haven't had them for years, and so it's wonderful to hear their little chooky sounds, and to care for some animals, and then be rewarded with some farm fresh eggs, and most Australians can have chooks in their backyard. It's such a simple, wonderful, rewarding interest and occupation to involve your kids in, and start to learn where our food comes from. So yeah, I've had to sort of go back to the drawing board almost and go, well, I can't do 90% of the things that I came to Tassie for. What am I going to do now? Splitting firewood. There's a meaningful occupation for you.
Oh, it gets all the stress out though, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But I think that's the point. I think that's what we're trying to get to in this episode is, sure, lots of stuff has changed. A lot of stuff's been taken away from us. It is a weird and wonderful time. And we're all very consumed with the humongous workload that we suddenly have with having kids doing schooling from home and most of us working from home. Many of our tradies partners, whether it be husbands or wives, are often essential workers as well. So they're trying to manage that in the mix. All of those things mean that life just gets so busy and overwhelming, and we're neglecting ourselves. We're forgetting that we actually need to be replenished and rested in order for us to be good parents, good business owners, good partners, good friends. And those things are really important. It might be just taking time out to like yesterday afternoon, the gents, mostly gents, a couple of ladies came along and had a couple of beers with us in the afternoon. We were connecting because we've forgotten that, it might be something we used to do, but now we suddenly can't do it. So we have to find ways to do it. Or it might be splitting your firewood because you enjoy the physical exertion of being outside and being productive.
Satisfaction.
Yes.
It's very satisfying. It's like mowing the lawn. I mowed the lawn the other day.
It's one of my favourite jobs.
Do you know how much I missed mowing the lawn? Because I hadn't done it in something like 3 or 4 weeks. And normally I would be like, oh my gosh, I'm so sick of cutting my grass and my neighbours. But it was just nice to go buy some petrol and stick it in the mower. And I was intending on doing a quick 15-minute whip around the backyard just to tidy that part up, and then I ended up doing over an hour and did the whole house yard, which is massive here on the farm. So
it's mesmerizing. I love mowing.
Very satisfying. And then I wanted to go roll in it with the dog because it looked really nice.
And did you?
No, it was a little bit damp. I
Oh,
want to get grass
and
stains.
that stopped you why?
Tradies in business shirt because then I'd
Fair
have to
enough.
preen them out again.
Got to protect the merch.
Yeah. Speaking of merch, Nicole, nearly called you
You nearly
something
did.
else. Speaking of merch, there is a way you can get some merch out of us.
There
when we
is a way
finally
you can get some merch.
get our hands on it. I think the supplier and Australia Post are conspiring to keep our merch from us.
Yes.
But how can we? What are we doing here? Is it iTunes reviews?
Best review on iTunes or
yeah.
Spotify.
And best doesn't mean 5 stars because that'd be nice.
No.
If everybody just
Be
gave us
honest.
5 stars. But best
If you think
review
we
as
suck,
in
you can tell us.
most creative but most authentic or most meaningful or something. We'll decide pretty much as all these things go. But what you do need to do is leave a review because I'm going to put it out there that you listen to this podcast because you find it helpful or meaningful. Here's a meaningful occupation. Or beneficial or valuable in some warped way. And and we need your help because there's so many podcasts, there's so much activity in podcast land and online these days that for tradies to find our podcast is getting increasingly difficult for us. We don't have a massive budget because of the amount of free stuff that we do because we want to help you and the rest of the industry. So if you could help us out just simply by popping over to iTunes or Spotify on your computer and give the show a review, leave a written comment about what it's done for you or how you find it or whether you wish you'd never heard of us. And then I will commit to reading them out word for word. Oh, you need to distract the audience while I go check again, Coxie. And
so for my meaningful occupation today, I am going to create a new herb garden.
Ooh.
Because the vegetable gardens here are covered. We've got a big tree, like a big gum tree over the top of them, and they're not getting enough sunlight, so nothing's growing in those. But Builder had a brilliant idea. Along our driveway, we have like a brick wall that must be, I don't know. I think when we looked at photos, it's about 80 years old, and somebody's dug out a bit of the top of it and planted all sorts of grasses in there. Well, those grasses are coming out. We're going to plant it now with herbs because it's in the sunshine all day long. It's nice and warm in winter. So the plants should continue to grow, whereas maybe in winter they wouldn't grow so much. So I'm a bit excited. That's what I'm doing today. I would like to be going out to buy cows. I would love a cow in my backyard.
What sort of herbs?
We will have some dill. It's my favourite herb of all time.
Dill? Some
coriander. Are you team coriander or not team coriander?
I love a bit of cilantro.
I love it. Love it.
Look at that. We've got 59 reviews, but I think they're all kind of a bit old. So let me find them. Come on, where's the reviews? Come on, Apple. Let me see. Oh, here we go. Oh, that's terrible. Come on, gang. So if you go to Apple Podcasts on your computer and click write a review, our last one was more than a little while ago. There are a lot of great reviews there, but this is going to be easy because the last one was almost 12 months ago.
Goodness gracious.
No wonder we're a bit harder to find. So please, 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 please help other tradies to find this podcast and help them actually get through COVID and get some of the fantastic results that a lot of our community are getting. I still find it a bit mind blowing, Nicole, that
yes,
so many people are in our community, whether they're clients or not, but particularly our clients, are having record months and putting on subbies and all sorts of stuff because they've got so much work on. It's like that's the stuff that we want to hear. So go give us a review and I'll read it out word for word. And the best one gets some merch. We'll figure out what we send you. I think we've got some caps and stubby coolers and all sorts of funky stuff.
I'm just looking on Spotify. You cannot leave I can't see how you can leave a review on Spotify. So if for some reason you are a techno-tard like I am and you can't get to Apple iTunes because everything you have is a Windows thing or an Android thing, then you can leave a review on our Facebook page.
Yes, Good call. Leave us a Facebook recommendation. That'd be pretty sweet.
So starting from today, I'll tell you that our last one on there, of course, I closed Facebook because it tends to go ding dong all the way through.
You closed
our
Facebook?
podcasts.
I find that hard to believe that you would have closed Facebook.
I did.
Wow.
And I've just opened it, and one of our members, JKB Installs Rangewood Specialist, have done the best Facebook post. It's a ripper. So if you are not following JKB Installs Rangewood Specialist, you need to get on that and see their post from yesterday. It was really good.
Cool.
Now, let me see. Our last review on here, I've got a feeling it's from one of our members, Linda Berryman. Also of JKB.
We love JKB Installs.
We do.
They're currently
we've
watching
got,
lots of Netflix.
They are, poor buggers. We've got 3 reviews here. So, again, very easy for you to come and win yourself some merch. There won't only be one winner. There'll be several winners. So, please drop us a review. You can do it on Facebook or you can do it on iTunes.
That'd be
But
fantastic.
you've got to be on your desktop for both.
Yes. So, please. Help a brother or sister out. Tradies for tradies. That's what we're all about here. Nicole Cox, Willie. And I'm going to stop prattling on because that's a long episode for a Saturday. And if you've listened to this point, I commend you.
I do too. Now we're going to go and buy cows and I'm going to water grass.
You should pat yourself on the back and I'm going to go pat a cow on the head.
Hooroo.
You've been listening to the Tradies in Business podcast with Warwick Bidwell and Nicole Cox. Find out more about today's guest, tools for your trade business, and other cool stuff at tradiesinbusiness.com.au.